There are times in love when silence isn't a sign of ambiguity or a test, but a clear declaration of an ending. When an avoidant person decides to leave, they don't leave room for vagueness or hope. They have made their choice, and as painful as it is, the truth is they are moving on, and not with you. I understand the feeling of being left behind, of being adrift and unable to accept it. You want to find the reason to understand why everything fell apart, and perhaps even harbor the hope that one day they will come back. But the truth is, their silence, their withdrawal, is the answer. They are not confused, nor are they considering their next step. They have shown you what is important to them, and as difficult as it is to accept, it is not you. But don't let their absence define you. You deserve a full and sincere love, where you are cherished and loved. Be brave enough to reclaim your heart, heal your wounds, and move on with your own life. There are still many good things waiting for you ahead, and you can absolutely find happiness without their return. Let's explore 7 signs that an avoidant person will not come back, so that you can let go of the past and open your heart to a brighter future. Sign 1. They have shut down emotionally. When someone with an avoidant attachment style makes the decision not to return, they often go through a process of complete emotional disconnection. This is not indifference or impulsive action, but the result of a defense mechanism deeply ingrained in their psyche. According to attachment theory research, avoidant individuals often feel overwhelmed when faced with pain, disappointment, or stress in relationships. To protect themselves, they choose to freeze emotions related to the relationship, creating an emotional wall between themselves and others. When they have shut down emotionally, it means they are putting all their energy into suppressing memories, feelings, and pain associated with the relationship. This is not only their way of avoiding facing their own emotions, but also a method of blocking any attempts on your part to mend the relationship. They do not want to face further hurt and believe that complete separation is the only way to regain inner balance. This behavior makes the possibility of reconnection very low, because once they have decided to cut off, they rarely go back to objectively review the relationship. They may even convince themselves that, to protect their self-esteem, maintaining distance is necessary. This is not a lack of care or indifference towards you, but their way of coping with stress and unprocessed emotions. For you, this silence and withdrawal can be painful and confusing. You may think that if you try harder, understand them better, they will change their mind. However, it is important to realize that their decision to shut down emotionally does not reflect your worth or the relationship, but rather how they cope with their own internal difficulties. Sign 2. They lack healthy communication skills. For avoidant individuals, expressing their feelings and needs is a significant challenge. They often lack the necessary tools to build a foundation for healthy communication, and this can influence their decision to return after a breakup. Many avoidant people have difficulty identifying and expressing their own emotions. They may have been raised in an environment where expressing emotions was seen as weak or discouraged. As a result, they form the belief that emotions are something to be hidden and suppressed. When faced with strong emotional situations, they tend to withdraw and avoid rather than engage in open dialogue. This lack of communication skills is evident in how they handle conflict or emotional conversations. They may become silent, evasive, or even react with anger when feeling overwhelmed by negative emotions. They believe that silence is the best way to protect themselves and avoid hurting the other person. However, it is this silence that creates an invisible distance, making the other person feel alienated and misunderstood. For an avoidant person, returning to a broken relationship means facing communication barriers they don't know how to overcome. They fear deep emotional conversations, worrying that they will say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, or make things worse. They may also feel insecure about their ability to express their needs and desires clearly and effectively. Therefore, when an avoidant person decides to leave, a lack of healthy communication skills can be one of the main reasons they don't come back. They are not ready to face the challenges of communication, and they choose avoidance as a safe option for themselves. It is important that you recognize this and do not place too much expectation on them changing. Instead, focus on healing your own wounds, developing your own communication skills, and seeking healthier relationships in the future. Sign 3. They prioritize independence over commitment. Avoidant individuals often stand out with their strong desire for independence. They value freedom and personal space above all else, and this desire can be the main reason they don't return after a breakup. For avoidant people, commitment in a relationship is often seen as a burden, a constraint that can threaten their autonomy and self-determination. They fear having to adjust themselves to meet the needs of their partner, afraid of losing their identity and personal space. They believe that only when they are free to do what they want can they truly be themselves. Avoidant individuals often build their lives on the principle of self-reliance. They pride themselves on their ability to handle things on their own and find security in that independence. Relationships with their demands for closeness, sharing, and compromise can make them feel overwhelmed and anxious. They fear having to sacrifice personal habits or interests to maintain the relationship, and they also don't want to be responsible for another person's happiness. When experiencing emotional intimacy, avoidant individuals often feel insecure and vulnerable. They fear that opening up will cause them to lose control and become dependent on their partner. They may withdraw immediately when they feel the relationship is becoming too close or committed, seeing it as a way to protect themselves from potential hurt. Their preference for independence can be so strong that they rationalize their decision to withdraw, convincing themselves that they are better off alone. They may focus on the positive aspects of single life, such as freedom, flexibility, and being unattached. They may also look for reasons to prove that the ended relationship was not right for them, and that going back would be a mistake. In the long run, their desire for independence often outweighs any emotional attachment they may feel. Instead of hoping that they will change their views on commitment, it is important to understand that prioritizing independence is a deep part of their personality and value system. Recognizing this helps you shift your focus from trying to mend a relationship that doesn't fit your needs to building new connections, where the desire for partnership and commitment is valued. Sign 4. Belief in self-protection. Avoidant individuals often have a strong belief in maintaining self-protection as a way to preserve their self-esteem and avoid getting hurt. For them, returning to a relationship means facing vulnerable emotions, past failures, or admitting that they need some kind of connection. These things go against the belief system they have built to protect themselves. Avoidant people tend to idealize independence and autonomy. They believe that relying on others is a sign of weakness, and expressing emotions will make them vulnerable. Therefore, they always try to maintain a certain distance in relationships to ensure that they are never dependent or controlled by their partner. When a relationship ends, avoidant individuals often convince themselves that they are better off alone. They focus on the benefits of being single, such as freedom, being unattached, and being able to focus on their career or personal goals. They may recall negative experiences in the relationship to reinforce the belief that the breakup was the right thing to do, and that going back would only lead them to repeat past mistakes. Furthermore, returning to their ex can make them feel like they are compromising or giving in. They fear that this will cause them to lose their position in the relationship, become weak and vulnerable. Their pride and ego prevent them from admitting mistakes or expressing regret. They believe that standing their ground and sticking to their decision is the best way to protect their self-esteem and self-image. You may feel that you are not important enough for them to come back, but in reality, their decision says more about how they protect themselves than about your worth. Understanding this helps you empathize with their inner state, while realizing that their decision is not a reflection of you, but a result of fears and beliefs formed earlier in their life. Sign 5. Fear of facing conflict. One of the main reasons avoidant people don't come back is their fear of facing conflict. Individuals with this attachment style often feel uncomfortable and anxious in the face of tense conversations or unresolved conflicts. For them, having to discuss complex emotions or relationship issues not only creates a sense of pressure but also triggers a deep-seated fear of vulnerability and failure. Avoidant individuals often view conflict as a threat to their inner balance. Instead of seeing it as an opportunity to solve problems and rebuild the relationship, they perceive conflict as an uncontrollable and stressful situation. This perception makes them more likely to choose withdrawal over confrontation, as avoidance provides a temporary sense of safety and allows them to avoid facing their insecurities. Returning to the relationship requires them to confront unprocessed hurt, unmet expectations, and difficult conversations they previously tried to avoid. However, their avoidant instincts make them fear that any attempt at communication will lead to more conflict instead of resolution. They may worry that confrontation will further damage their self-esteem or cause them to lose control in the relationship. This behavior does not stem from indifference or lack of care, but is a result of defense mechanisms formed from past experiences where they may have learned that conflict leads to pain rather than resolution. Therefore, they choose to keep their distance, believing that this will help them protect themselves from negative emotions. For you, understanding this fear is essential to avoid self-blame or trying to change their decision. Instead, focus on building your own emotional stability and seeking healthy relationships where both parties are willing to confront and resolve conflicts openly and constructively. Sign 6. Overly strong defense mechanisms. When an avoidant person chooses to completely cut off contact, it is not an impulsive act but a clear manifestation of deeply ingrained defense mechanisms. Avoidant individuals often develop these protective strategies from insecure attachment experiences in the past. These strategies help them keep a safe distance from others, avoiding painful emotions or unpleasant memories associated with past relationships. Cutting off contact is not simply about stopping interaction, but also a way for them to erect an invisible wall, protecting themselves from any emotional impact. They believe that if they return, they will have to face feelings they have tried to suppress, hurt, disappointment, or even guilt. It is the belief that re-experiencing these pains will cause them to lose control that motivates them to maintain a strong defensive state, even if it means giving up the relationship. This defense mechanism makes it difficult for them to open up or reconsider. They do not see reconciliation as an opportunity to solve problems, but rather as a threat to the inner balance they are trying to maintain. This not only reduces the possibility of reconnection but also makes them more rigid in their decision. For the person left behind, this behavior can cause deep hurt and feelings of rejection. However, it is important to understand that their withdrawal is not an assessment of your worth or the relationship, but a way for them to protect themselves from fears and emotions they are not ready to face. Recognizing this helps you build empathy and focus on healing and personal growth rather than trying to break down the defenses they have created. Sign 7. They have moved on to a different state. Time and focus are two finite resources that people dedicate to things that are important to them. When an avoidant person decides to leave and shifts their energy to a different state, it is a sign that they have accepted the end and no longer feel the need to return. In psychology, state shifting refers to the process of changing the focus of attention and mental resources from one object or state to another. For avoidant individuals, shifting energy to other areas like work, friends, personal hobbies, or even a new relationship helps them cope with the pain of the breakup and build a new life without you. By focusing on new things, they create positive experiences, form new connections, and reinforce their sense of independence and autonomy. This process helps them solidify the distance from the old relationship and gradually reduce emotional dependence. They realize that they can live well and find happiness without you. Moreover, investing energy in a new relationship can create comparisons and cause them to reevaluate the old relationship. Positive experiences in the new relationship highlight shortcomings or unresolved issues in the old one, further reinforcing their decision to leave. This also creates a major barrier to the possibility of returning to the relationship, because when they have adapted to the new state, returning not only requires them to face the emotions they have avoided, but also disrupts the new balance they have just built. They may feel that looking back to the past is a threat to the recovery process they are going through. However, it is important to understand that moving on to a different state does not mean they have forgotten you or no longer love you. It is simply a way for them to adapt to the new circumstances and move on with their lives. Their feelings for you may still be there, but they have been overshadowed by new priorities and other concerns. If you notice your ex has moved on to a different state, respect their decision and allow them the space to build a new life. Do not try to hold on or expect them to come back, as that will only cause you more pain and waste time. Instead of trying to pull them back, spend your energy building your own life where you can find peace and happiness without depending on their presence. The journey of exploring the signs that an avoidant person will not return has taken us through the realms of pain, denial, and sophisticated defense mechanisms. But more importantly than understanding the reasons behind their departure, we have learned together how to touch our wounds, revisit painful lessons, and most importantly, rediscover our inner strength. Now, I would like to invite you to pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and listen to the voice of your heart. What resonates most strongly within you after these sharings? Is it empathy for avoidant individuals, or is it your own voice in familiar patterns? Perhaps you have experienced similar moments when you were left behind with a broken heart and countless unanswered questions. Allow yourself a moment of silence to accept the emotions that are welling up, whether it is sadness, anger, or simply a feeling of emptiness. Then share your story with us by leaving a comment below. Each story is a precious piece, contributing to the complete picture of love, loss, and the healing journey. And don't forget that you are not alone on this path. We have each other, supporting, encouraging, and inspiring each other to overcome difficulties and move towards a brighter future. If these sharings have touched your heart, please spread positivity by clicking the like and subscribe buttons. Your support will help us continue to create healing and empowering content. See you in the next videos where we will explore the secrets of love and happiness together. Until then, remember to love yourself, cherish your values, and always believe in the healing power of the heart.